Washington lived in a familiar political tension. The elections are over and Donald Trump has become the President of the United States again. It weighs an unprecedented comeback. After a turbulent election campaign, attacks from opponents and attempts to derail his campaign, has still won the victory. But he haven't been happy for too long. The morning after the inauguration, Trump assembles team in Oval Office. Listen carefully, his voice was firm. We will not repeat the mistakes of the past. They will do everything to set me up. We need to be one step ahead. Advisors exchanged glances. Some nodded, some looked worried. What do you suggest, sir? Asked the head of security. Trump stood up, leaning on the table. Full check. White House, my residence, all key sites. I don't trust these people. They must have left something behind. The National Security Advisor frowned. Do you think we might be being wiretapped? Trump chuckled. I don't just think so. I'm sure of it. In a few days, everything was ready. Special teams, including cybersecurity specialists, engineers, and hidden device experts, began a large-scale inspection. The first target was the White House. Group of technical specialists combed every inch of the building, using scanners, hidden camera detectors, and radio frequency equipment. Result? Nothing suspicious. The next property to be visited was Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. I personally came to Mar-a-Lago to control the process. While the agent scanned the premises, he sat in his office, watching the monitors. And he ran. Alarming voice was heard. Engineer. Mr. President, you need to see this. Trump got up and headed to the inspection site. They stood unknown of the rooms leading to the private office. There was something lying on the tablia, a small black device. What is this? Trump frowned. One of the experts carefully picked up the device. Wiretapping. And a modern one at that. It works on a protected frequency. You can't buy something like that in a regular store. Trump clenched his fists. Who could have established this? The specialists looked back at the team. We don't know yet. But this is not the work of an amateur. These are professionals. Trump took a deep breath. He was not surprised. He expected something like this. Examination continued at double speed. Within a few hours, several more devices were found. Cameras in the guest room. Wiretapping in the negotiation area. Bugs in one of the employees' phones. Team looked at each other in complete shock. Someone realized that Trump was right all along. President exhaled slowly and turned to the head of security. Delete them all. Every single one. It will be done, sir. And one more thing. Trump looked sharply into the eyes of his people. I want to know who is behind this. Find them. And when you find them, we will destroy them. His voice was steel. Now it was war. FBI agents and intelligence services immediately got involved in the matter. Now the question was, who dared to spy on the U.S. president? The answer was more dangerous than they could have imagined. But more about that in the next chapter. In the air there was tension. The whole Trump team realized that the wiretapping that was discovered isn't just a technical glitch, an unsuccessful attempt by journalists to get a sensation. It was a real conspiracy. And now every step, every word spoken, every decision made could have consequences. Trump knew that this cannot be delayed. He immediately called an emergency meeting. In the closed bunker of Mar-a-Lago, the most trusted people gathered. Head of Security, FBI Director, National Security Advisor, several counterintelligence agents. Trump looked at everyone. We are being bugged. All were silent, realizing how much the situation is serious. We found wiretaps in several places. This is not an accident. This is a systematic operation. Someone wants to know everything that happens within my walls. Head of Security shook his head. Whoever it was, they came prepared. These devices are high level. Trump leaned forward. What does it mean? The FBI director opened his laptop. We have done a preliminary analysis. These bugs use technology that is only available to large intelligence agencies. This is not the work of an individual or a private company. It is either foreign services that are involved or He paused. Or our own political opponents. Find out how long they have been here. Security specialists quickly scrolled through the reports. Some of the devices are new, perhaps in the last few months. But there are some that can work for years. Trump clenched his fists. Years? Does that mean they listened to me during my last term? Most likely, yes, sir. This meant only one thing: the conspiracy was not just a political intrigue. It was part of a long-term strategy. If Mar-a-Lago found a wiretap, that what's in the White House then? Trump can't wait. Had personally gave the order to immediately conduct an investigation all areas of the Oval Office and government facilities. Heavy checkmark urgently all internal communications were turned off. Heavy checkmark the rooms were checked for radio frequency interference. Heavy checkmark detectors detected 2 suspicious signals. But the most interesting thing was yet to come. Specialists found another device. It was built into one of the working phones in the conference room. And it wasn't just a bug. It was a remote control program, which could intercept calls, record voices, and even track the location of employees. Who the hell could have installed this? Trump roared. One of the experts swallowed nervously. This is not the work of amateurs, sir. This is either internal treason or the work of foreign intelligence. Trump, I wasn't going to put up with it. He turned to the FBI director. I want to know who did this. And I want to know fast. Agents immediately began analysis. They laid down on the table 3 main versions. 1. Political opponents. After his election defeat, his opponents could have wiretapped him in order to collect dirt. Maybe it is the case of the deep state, which did not want his return. 2. Foreign intelligence services. Russia? China? Perhaps one of the superpowers want to know the secret decisions of the White House. 3. Traitors within the government. Someone from the team could be collaborating with the enemies. The wiretapping could have been left behind during the time of the previous president, and now it has come to light. Trump listened to the analysis, but it was already clear to him. Someone was playing against him. And this someone, I didn't expect that they would find him so quickly. He rose from his chair and looked around at everyone with a hard look. Remove every device. Immediately. Next. This will not go without consequences. We need to find the culprits and make them pay. He looked at the head of the FBI. From now on you start Operation Clean House. Expose these people. The head of intelligence nodded. It will be done, sir. Trump exhaled. Now this was not just a test. It was a war for truth. And he was ready to win it. The next step is to expose the conspirators. The war has begun. Donald Trump, I wasn't going to let this go. After discovery wiretaps in the residence, and the White House understood, he had been followed for a long time. But now the question was not how long it lasted, and in that, who is behind this and how far are they willing to go? Heck no, enemies who tried to control his actions will not stop. And Hay wasn't going to give them a chance to get away with it. It's time to strike back. After an emergency meeting with the FBI director and intelligence chief, Trump gave a direct order. No leaks to the media. Work covertly. He understood, if the enemies find out that they have been exposed, they will destroy the evidence and go into hiding. First steps. Full data analysis from wiretapping when the devices were activated, what frequencies they used. View CCTV recordings who entered the rooms where the devices were found. Checking White House and resident staff who had access to these premises. Key task: go out on trace of the conspirators, before they realized they'd been found out. And soon the first clues began to appear. Cybersecurity experts found anomalies in the data. Some devices activated at night, in moments when in the White House there were no official meetings. They transmitted information abroad. Trump immediately called the head of intelligence. Is this internal betrayal or foreign interference? Head of intelligence hesitated, then answered. We think it's both. Someone inside was working for external forces. Trump squinted. What do you think, China? Russia? Head of intelligence exhaled. We're not sure yet. But we have a lead. Trump leaned forward. Speak. The head of intelligence took out a tablet and opened the photo. There was on the screen one of the White House staff, a young man who worked in the IT department. This man is Thomas Grayson. He worked on the White House tech team. He had access to servers, he could program security systems. Trump looked at him carefully. Do you think he installed a wiretap? The head of intelligence nodded. We can't say for sure yet. But he is the only one who worked on the systems associated with the bugs that were discovered. Trump tapped his finger on the table. Detain him. Immediately. Intelligence Services Thomas Grayson was quickly apprehended. He was taken to a secret room for interrogation. When Trump entered the room, Grayson looked tense but not scared. Mr. President, I don't know why I'm here. Trump sighed wearily and sat down opposite. Thomas, let's not be silly. You know why you're here. Let's keep it simple. You tell me who's behind this, and maybe you get a chance to avoid the worst. Grayson tried to stay calm. I don't understand what you're talking about. Trump interrupted him sharply. You think I'm playing with you? We found a wiretap. We know someone planted it. And we know you had access to it. Grayson pursed his lips. I was just working on the security system. Trump chuckled. Well, yes, and accidentally connected the bugs to the network? Grayson looked away. I can't speak. Trump leaned closer. That's not an answer, Thomas. Who's behind this? Grayson was silent. Trump got up and left the room. Put pressure on him. He's hiding something. In a few hours, Grayson broke down. Henham names. These were not foreign agents. These were people from the American political elite. Former advisors to Trump's opponents. Several government employees. Members of secret analytical groups. They worked for the Democrats, preparing political dirt. Exactly, they organized the installation of wiretaps. They wanted to record every word Trump said. They wanted to use these recordings to destroy his reputation. But now their plan is revealed. Trump was furious. He immediately called a meeting. They thought they could play dirty? He clenched his fists. No leniency. They will answer for this. No, it's time to strike. The next step is public exposure and arrest. The White House was seething with tension. After Thomas Grayson gave up his curators, Trump received evidence that a conspiracy against him was organized within the American political elite itself. These people wanted to undermine his authority, collecting secret information and using it for political pressure. But now they themselves were trapped. And Trump, I wasn't going to let this go unnoticed. They tried to destroy me, but now we will destroy them. Trump threw the documents on the table. In the White House conference room, his closest allies gathered. Head of Security, FBI Director, National Security Advisor, Attorney General. Trump looked at each of them. What do we do? FBI Chief opened the folder with names. Here is a list of everyone involved in this plot. Among them are former officials, several journalists, and intelligence officers. Trump nodded slowly. Is there evidence? Yes. We tracked the financial transfers, found the correspondence. They worked for several years, waiting for the moment when they could compromise you. Security advisor exhaled heavily. Sir, if we hit them now, it will cause a political storm. They will accuse you of persecuting opponents. Trump chuckled. They tried to ruin my life. Now they will get their answer. He looked at the Attorney General. Start making arrests. Already in a few hours, intelligence teams started to act. In Washington, arrested 3 high-ranking former officials, which were associated with the installation of wiretaps. In New York, 2 famous journalists, who coordinated the leak of information. In California, detained ex-intelligence officer, who participated in the installation of bugs. Arrests shocked the country. News literally exploded. Mass arrests. Who is Trump catching? The president declares war on traitors. The secret conspiracy who tried to spy on the White House. TV presenters can't believe what was happening. This is unbelievable. The US president personally gave the order to arrest people from the political elite. The liberal media was shocked. They trying to turn the situation around, accusing Trump of political persecution. This is an attack on free speech. He takes revenge on his opponents. But facts were on Trump's side. He showed it to the people. His didn't intimidate. The next day Trump comes out to reporters. In front of him crowd of reporters. He looks straight into the cameras. I know many of you have been waiting for me to make a mistake. For me to say something wrong. For me to give you a reason to attack. He pauses. But I'll tell you this today. They tried to destroy me. They tried to control me. They thought they could spy on me, record my conversations, use them against me. He looks straight into the lens. They thought I would remain silent. But I am not silent. I am acting. Journalists are silent. Trump continues. We have identified the criminals who installed the wiretap. We have found evidence of their betrayal. And now they will go where they belong, to prison. Some journalists fidget nervously. Others understand that something historic is happening now. Trump throws out the last phrase. America will be clean of traitors. I guarantee you that. After his speech ratings soared, many Americans supported his tough measures. Thousands of people took to the streets to show their support. Social media exploded with hashtags #TrumpExposedConspiracy. But the opponents did not remain silent either. In the Senate, discussions have begun about a possible investigation against Trump. Some politicians demanded stop the arrests. But he wasn't going to give up. Heck knew what did the right step. After the arrests, Trump signed the order about the new security check. All high-ranking officials were subjected to detailed checks for connections with enemies of the United States. Several people from the intelligence services who allowed the data leak were fired. He signed a law increasing control over government facilities. This was his answer to those who tried to destroy him. Now enemies were afraid. Now they knew that you can't play dirty with Trump. But the main test still ahead. After all, traitors don't give up without a fight. The battle was just beginning. In Washington, passions were running high. After the revelation, conspiracy against Trump country split up. One part of America admired his determination. He is the only one who has the courage to fight the elites. He exposed the traitors within the government. The White House is now safe. But another part was furious. He uses arrests to get rid of enemies. Trump is turning the U.S. into a police state. This is a dictatorship, not a democracy. But no matter what they say, his opponents, the facts were on Trump's side. Wiretapping was real. Conspiracy existed. And he revealed the traitors. Now all that remained was to make sure that this did not happen again. Trump wasn't going to stop. Immediately after the arrest, he signed decrees, which forever changed the security system of the White House and the government. A full background check of all officials working in the White House. Replacement of key personnel in the security service. Strict control over all external government contacts. New anti-espionage protocols. No one will be able to quietly bug government buildings anymore. But this was just the beginning. Trump opponents were not going to give up. A week after the arrest, articles appeared in the media. Trump uses fear to strengthen his power. Another step towards authoritarianism. The president is creating an atmosphere of total control. On TV channels, opposing politicians spoke, accusing him of abuse of power. We demand an independent investigation, one of the Democratic senators shouted. Trump is trying to purge everyone who doesn't agree with him. But popular support was on the president's side. Many Americans understood what he fights not against his opponents, but against those who wanted to destroy him. Trump went out to the press to dot all the I's. He looked straight into the cameras. I know what is happening now. My opponents are panicking. They understand that their plan has failed. They thought they could control me. But they were wrong. The journalists froze. When they tried to destroy me, they were silent. When they bugged me, they were silent. When they installed hidden cameras, they were silent. He paused. But when I exposed them, they cried out about tyranny. The hall froze. They are afraid. Because they know that there is no more room for traitors in America. The journalists looked at him, not knowing what to say. He just dealt his most powerful blow to his enemies. In a few months, the court passed sentences participants in the conspiracy. Several former officials received prison sentences. Journalists involved in the data leak have lost their careers. A former intelligence agent who helped plant the bugs has been convicted of treason. After this incident, the entire U.S. government security system has changed. Now, no White House employee could act without careful scrutiny. Trump created a team of personal security specialists, which protected him from similar attacks in the future. White House became the most guarded building in the world. And most importantly, he showed that you can't play dirty with him. After this event, a new era has begun in the country. Political elite understood that Trump will not remain silent. People saw, what is he does not give up. And even his enemies admitted. This man did what no one else would have dared to do. Story wiretaps at Trump's residence became one of the most high-profile political scandals in U.S. history. But for him, it was more than just a revelation. It was personal victory. Defeating the enemies who tried to control him. But now they knew it wouldn't work like that again.